From jaw-dropping fails to karma served instantly. Get ready for moments that are equal parts shocking and satisfying. Unbothered. When a man stormed into a nail salon demanding everyone get on the ground and hand over their cash, he probably wasn't expecting a room full of zero reactions. Customers just sat there, scrolling their phones or giving him the "Are you serious?" look. Even the staff barely flinched. Realizing he was commanding the most unimpressed crowd ever, he awkwardly gave up and strolled out like he'd just been told. We don't do that here. If there's a manual for robbers, "don't get ignored" is probably rule number 1. Not around here, partner. John Lewis Alexander wasn't having any of it when a robber tried to hold up his liquor store. After the suspect pulled a gun, John, a military veteran, took control like a pro, calmly pushing the robber's handgun aside before shoving a pistol right into his mouth. The would-be thief quickly realized he wasn't in charge anymore and probably regretted his life choices. It's safe to say the robbery was over before it even began. Trapped. The robbery started off smoothly for the thieves, with the employee clueless about what was happening. But just when they thought they had it in the bag, a distraction gave the employee the chance to make a run for it. He bolted out the back, locked the door behind him, then pulled the shutters down and locked them in. Talk about an epic plot twist. The robbers, now trapped, panicked and begged to be let out, but no one was having it. They eventually made a last-ditch escape through a back window, but by then, the CCTV had caught every moment, with their faces front and center. It didn't take long before they were ID'd and caught, making this heist a real bust. I'm a Cowboy Baby. When the man walked into the store, gun in hand, things were looking pretty grim. But out of nowhere, a cowboy hat-wearing hero stepped up to the plate. With nerves of steel and courage that only comes with a good hat, he swiftly disarmed the would-be robber. No Wild West showdown here, just one determined cowboy keeping the peace and leaving the bad guy wondering where his backup was. Unexpected hero. This guy, Dylan Molina, thought he could just drive drunk, run a red light, and crash into a car without consequences. He was wrong. After wrecking his rental Jeep, he tries to walk away, only to meet a determined Good Samaritan who wasn't about to let him off the hook. Instead of waiting for the police, the hero chases Molina down, tackling him with the precision of an NFL linebacker. Molina's plan to escape quickly crumbled, and soon enough, the only thing he was running from was his bad choices, and the guy who had his back. Banana fight. The robber thought he was in the clear while robbing a pharmacy, but what he didn't count on was a pharmacist already on the phone with 911. As he started to run, one customer decided to stand up to him, but not with fists, with fruit. The robber, clearly irritated, picked up a banana and hurled it at the guy. In a move that must have stunned even the robber himself, the customer quickly retaliated, tossing the banana back with precision. A fruit fight? You bet. Looks like the robber got more than he bargained for, and it wasn't even the potassium kind of trouble. Karma. A robber's plan went horribly wrong when he tried to rob a passenger, but fate had other ideas. The man, in an attempt to make off with the victim's belongings, met an unexpected end before he could complete the crime. As he threatened the passenger, something went terribly awry, leading to his death right there on the spot. It's not clear what caused the fatal turn of events, whether it was an unfortunate accident or a rapid escalation. But one thing is for sure, his last heist didn't go as he planned. Ironically, he ended up paying the ultimate price for his crime. The World's Chillest Man. In a truly legendary moment, Tony Tovar, nicknamed the World's Chillest Man, sat calmly while his favorite bar, Bierman's in St. Louis, was being robbed. While everyone else dropped to the floor, Tovar just lit a cigarette. When the robber stuck a gun in his ribcage, Tovar calmly grabbed his phone back, despite the threat. According to Tovar, the robber asked him for money, but he only had $2, which he humorously offered for his next beer. The robber took the cash from the register and other patrons, but Tovar remained unflappable. His advice: don't do what he did if you're concerned about getting hurt. Compliance is key. Not so hidden. A suspect in a string of burglaries in Queens Village, Glen Oaks, and New Hyde tried to hide his identity by pulling a backpack over his head and a sheet. While he likely thought this would mask his face from the cameras, the move didn't fool anyone. Despite his attempt to shield himself, the cameras caught his every step, clearly recording the man's actions. What he didn't know was that the camera angle caught more than just his silhouette. The footage has already given police the upper hand in tracking him down. His clever disguise failed him. Wrong house. Well, this Phoenix homeowner wasn't about to let some strangers waltz in for an easy robbery. As four men tried their best to break down the door, little did they know, the homeowner had already been tipped off by a motion sensor. Bad timing for the robbers. As soon as the door went flying, the homeowner fired back faster than they could say, "Wrong house," sending the robbers fleeing faster than a speeding bullet in a gray getaway car. Real threat, fake gun. The guy in the gray t-shirt calmly handed over some cash at first, but as soon as the robber walked by, he jumped up, pulled out his own gun, and fired. The robber crumpled to the ground, but the customer had a real oops moment when he realized the robber had been using a BB gun. After all that chaos, the guy casually grabbed his money back, hopped in his truck, and took off. In Texas, that's what you call some swift justice. Real or fake gun. You're getting a lesson in not messing with customers who are prepared. Outrunning Expert. This robber must have missed the memo on how not to make a fool of yourself. The guy rolled up on his bike, thinking he was about to have an easy day, but the pedestrian, not so much. As soon as the guy got off his bike and showed the gun, the pedestrian made a snap decision. No hesitation, no panic. He turned and bolted into a building faster than a roadrunner. The door slammed behind him, leaving the robber outside with nothing but regret. You're on TV. While this news reporter was just doing his job covering a bank robbery, the robber decided to make his live TV debut. As the reporter calmly described the scene, the actual suspect just jogged right past the camera, making things way too real for the broadcast. The moment of realization was priceless. Oh, that's the robber. The reporter didn't miss a beat, quickly calling 911 mid-segment. Turns out the suspect didn't even know he was giving a live interview. The cops caught him not long after, but not before he made his TV cameo. Phone thief? Not. This guy's robbery attempt was over before it even began. He grabbed a phone from the display thinking he was about to make a clean getaway. Little did he know, it was still tethered to the counter. After a brief, awkward tug of war with the phone, he realized he wasn't going anywhere fast. He had to stop, take a look, and then casually walk off in defeat, leaving the store's security system and the phone intact. Uno reverse card. These four robbers thought they'd hit the jackpot when they walked into a Norco, California liquor store. But what they didn't know was that the owner wasn't just good at selling booze. He was also packing heat. As soon as one of the robbers drew a weapon, the owner quickly pulled out his shotgun and fired back. The poor guy who thought he'd be walking out with cash instead found himself running out of there shouting, "He shot my arm off!" in disbelief. To make things worse, the rest of the gang drove off with one robber still on foot. Real smooth. They were eventually found in a hospital, likely rethinking their career choices. Looks like the tables were turned, and the owner didn't hesitate to fire back. Legs gave up. This robber had grand plans to make a quick score, but his athleticism, well, it wasn't quite up to the challenge. He tried to jump the counter at the store, presumably to grab some loot, but it was clear his vaulting skills weren't quite up to par. Instead of smoothly clearing the counter, he fumbled around awkwardly, struggling to get over. In the process, he made enough noise for the clerk to spring into action. Mirror moment. These thieves clearly didn't anticipate getting caught mid-crime. While trying to make off with the side view mirrors from a parked car, They didn't notice the vigilant owner keeping a close eye on them. The CCTV footage shows the moment the owner steps outside, catching them in the act. The thieves freeze for a moment, realizing they've been busted, and awkwardly scramble to make an escape, but it's too late. The damage was already done. Spring broken. A group of cousins on spring break in Florida weren't about to let a masked robber ruin their fun. When he tried to rob them at gunpoint, they did what any savvy group of cousins would do: fight back. The whole thing was caught on camera as they put up a serious struggle, knocking the gun away and overpowering the would-be thief. It turned into an impromptu wrestling match, and with some quick thinking, they sent the guy running without their cash or his self-respect. Physically incapable. At a Best Buy in Hawaii, one worker turned a regular day into a tackle drill when she saw a man trying to sneak out with a portable speaker. Despite the company's no physical engagement policy, she wasn't having it and blocked his way. As the thief tried to run, other bystanders joined in, and he quickly realized this was not his lucky day. Random encounter. This robber made a huge mistake when he tried to rob a Walgreens. Turns out the store wasn't just armed with cash, but with a state boxing champ casually visiting his girlfriend. Hard knock. This group of masked men made off with an ATM from a garage. Using a digger, which they'd stolen from a nearby construction site, they yanked the machine straight out of the wall and vanished into the night. All in under 4.5 minutes, but the entire thing was caught on camera, leading to their arrest. Not so subtle after all. This guy thought he had pulled off the perfect sleight of hand move when he swiped a phone from under the counter at a phone shop. He assumed he'd blend in with all the other devices, but what he didn't count on was a camera pointed directly at his face, catching every sneaky moment. Looks like his quick fingers weren't quick enough to avoid getting caught on tape. Grab anything. A quick-thinking woman in a store took matters into her own hands when an armed robber tried to hold up the shop. With a fire extinguisher nearby, she grabbed it and sprayed the robber, creating a cloud of foam that blinded him. The sudden blast caught him off guard, giving her enough time to flee and call the authorities. When the police arrived, they found the would-be thief disoriented and no longer a threat. This unexpected twist in the robbery was caught on security cameras, showing the woman's brave reaction that ultimately led to the suspect's arrest. Date night. A couple of newlywed police officers had an unforgettable date night when they prevented an armed robbery at a restaurant. Detective Chase McGowan and his wife Nicole were quietly enjoying their meal when a masked gunman barged in, demanding money from the cashier. The robber had no idea that the couple sitting in the back was on duty, even though they were off shift. As soon as they recognized the situation, the McGowans jumped into action, drawing their weapons and cornering the robber. Their quick thinking and coordinated response prevented the suspect from fleeing and held him at gunpoint until backup arrived. The pair's professional training paid off. Gold rush fail. This guy thought he could outsmart the gold shop by wearing a shiny gold necklace and then attempting to make off with another one. His plan hit a snag when he didn't realize the door was on auto lock. After grabbing the necklace, he tried to rush out, only to find himself locked in. Realizing his mistake, he came back, hoping to smooth things over, but the shop had everything on camera. Distraction. In a clever act of thievery, a thief used a smart distraction technique to pull off his heists. While the employee's attention was diverted by something he pointed to, the thief skillfully used his other hand to grab a mobile phone off the shelf. He quickly passed it off to his accomplice, who was ready and waiting. What made it more impressive and concerning was that he repeated this move several times, seamlessly swiping multiple phones while the staff remained oblivious to the whole thing. Bolt out of there. 2 burglars, 1 unlocked door, and 0 brain cells. They break in, think no one's home, and start rummaging through drawers like they're in a cooking show. Then they realize, surprise, someone's hiding in the bedroom. Panic mode activated. They run off faster than Usain Bolt. Grandpa Hero. Grandpa's got game and some serious reflexes. As a robber flees from cops, Bill steps up with nothing but his cane and flawless timing, tripping the guy mid-chase. Police say his move may have saved lives, including the suspect's, who's probably questioning his life choices while recovering from a trip and fall. Guarded. When two teenage robbers tried their luck at a 7-Eleven in Gardena, they didn't expect a security guard with a real gun to spoil their plans. After the crooks pulled out fake weapons, the guard calmly pulled his real one and told them to give up. It's a plot twist no one saw coming, except maybe the robbers. Not on my watch. A day at a TJ Maxx in Mira Loma turned upside down when a customer decided he'd had enough of a thief's antics. Caught on video, the customer knocked the alleged shoplifter to the ground as she tried to escape with stolen bags. That's a shopper with a sense of justice. Special delivery. A homeowner had a close call with an armed robber disguised as a delivery driver. Ring footage shows the suspect pretending to have a package, but when the door opened, he pulled out a gun and tried to force his way inside. The homeowner responded with a shove, sending the would-be intruder scrambling back to his car before speeding off. But he was still caught later that week. Duck. This frustrated package thief victim, Jairimi Barrow, took matters into his own hands, literally. After enduring repeated thefts of pricey Jeep parts, he set up a crafty trap designed to send a clear message. Using shotgun blanks, fishing line, and a variety of makeshift components, Barrow rigged an alarm system that would fire blanks when disturbed, making thieves think they were on the receiving end of a gunshot. Booby-trapped. In New Orleans, a fed-up truck owner took extreme measures after being targeted by thieves multiple times. Frustrated by 8 break-ins in just a few months, Brendan Batt set up a booby trap in his truck, one that went viral after it scared off a would-be thief. The rigged 12-gauge flashbang went off, releasing gunpowder with a loud bang, terrifying the burglar. Batt, a veterinarian, had tested it safely and set up the trap every night, ensuring the thief didn't leave empty-handed. Machete to a sword fight? In a tense moment at a convenience store, a robber brandishing a machete thought he had the upper hand, until the clerk pulled out a sword in return. The startled thief hesitated, apparently unsure of what to do next. The unlikely standoff was caught on camera, and thankfully, no one was harmed. After a brief exchange of glaring, the thief decided that a sword might not be worth the risk and fled the scene. Who knew a convenience store sword collection could be so effective? Guarded store. A thief attempted to break into a jewelry store, but was met with resistance from the owner, Garrett Petticard. After noticing the break-in, Petticard, a former soldier, approached the intruder with a raised gun, prompting him to flee before stealing any valuable items, averting disaster. Caught before it began. This robber clearly wasn't expecting the pop-up guest appearance by Officer Hype. After trying to hold up the driver, the thief probably thought he was getting a free ride. But surprise, the cops were already following them. Guess it's true what they say. Sometimes life is stranger than fiction. And sometimes it's also really bad timing. Best guard dog. Well, this thief sure found a friendly surprise when he decided to borrow a $1,300 e-bike. The golden retriever wasn't exactly a security guard, but more of a personal assistant to the burglar. Belly rubs first, robbery later. This dog deserves a treat for being way too chill about things. If anything, it looks like he might need a few lessons from Frodo and Dobie. This was an inside job of love, not crime. Quick turnaround. When an armed robber strolled into an Ohio convenience store, he must have thought it was his lucky day. Well, it wasn't. Instead of coughing up cash, the cashier turned into a WWE superstar, grabbing the gun and suplexing the guy right over the counter. The robber's big plan turned into a full-blown wrestling match. And let's just say, he was not ready for this pay-per-view event. Game on. In Fresno, $1 general cashier decided she wasn't letting a shoplifter peddle away with stolen goods. When a man tried to flee on a bike, she didn't call it a loss, she called it game on. Grabbing her keys, she jumped into a vehicle and played real-life bumper cars. One collision later, the would-be thief was stopped dead in his tracks, probably wondering why he didn't just pay for his stuff. If this isn't taking customer service to the next level, what is? Eyes are the weapon. This wannabe robber took the cool and casual approach, strolling up to the counter like a normal shopper, until he whipped out a gun and demanded cash, not knowing how horribly things were going to pan out here. The clerk didn't flinch, panic, or even blink. Instead, she hit him with a cold, unbothered stare that screamed, "Is that all you've got?" Apparently it was, because the thief decided a no-nonsense glare was scarier than jail time. Defeated, he bolted empty-handed, and now his face is going to live on the internet forever. Lady means business. This guy must have thought robbing a store would be easy until he met the ultimate boss-level cashier. The moment he made his move, she unleashed a verbal smackdown so loud and fierce it could have shattered windows. Imagine being yelled at with the energy of a drill sergeant and a fed-up mom combined. Smacked all over. This shoplifter probably thought he was pulling off the ultimate heist until he got the 7-Eleven special. After casually stuffing cigarette packs into a trash can like it was his personal shopping spree, his day went from bad to broomsticks real quick. Turns out, this was his second stop at the same store, and the employees weren't about to let him hit the repeat button. While one worker pinned him down, the other delivered a rapid-fire broomstick smackdown, like they'd been practicing for a street fighting championship. What was your favorite footage? Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Goodbye.